What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to episode 83 of the Silver and Gold podcast. I'm Josh.
And I'm Mike.
And today, we're both celebrating week one wins. And I'm dealing with, give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. For whatever reason, my camera is a little bit delayed. I'm just going to restart it and we will be able to jump right into our first topic. But we're both 1-0. So that's kind of how we're starting off the show today. Let me quickly just fix my camera issue. Should be an easy fix. So, all right, let's see here. Unplug this. Plug it back in. All right. Is it good now? Mike, does it look okay, or is there still a little bit of a delay?
Well, I think no matter what, I'm delayed from what I see.
Okay.
Because of Discord.
All right. It looks good on my end right now. If you guys are in the comments and it looks delayed, just let me know, and maybe I can fix it again. If not, just bear with us for this episode today. But we are going to start off with the 49ers versus Seahawks recap. So, honestly, what a game. The 49ers did beat the Seahawks 17-13. And, really, I kind of want to just dive right into who stood out for me because there's a lot to unpack in this game here. So the first player that I do want to talk about is D. Winters because, I mentioned him as one of my breakout players this season. And I even talked about him in the, preview I say last week, but it was really on Saturday. This is kind of our second episode in the past few days. But we got quick answers on whether or not D. Winters was going to be able to really fill in the shoes of Dre Greenlaw. And I had a feeling that he was going to play well and give us reassurance that the 49ers made the right decision to move on from Dre Greenlaw. And while it would have been nice to have both players, the 49ers are saving money on Greenlaw's contract and have found a player that they can feel confident in. And plus, there's no guarantee that Dre Greenlaw was going to be able to stay healthy. And isn't he injured right now as we speak for the Broncos?
I'm not sure, but I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah, I think he is. But Winters, should have a great season, and he showed the ability to fly to the football and just play fast, which I was pretty encouraged by. Also, 49er Media is tuning in. He says, "Hey, Josh and Mike, 49er Media, welcome back. How you doing?"
Welcome in.
Oh man, my camera is still delayed. That is, I don't know why. Bear with my camera. So I might be delayed, but maybe it's because the 49ers offense, they started off strong. So my camera started off strong, got delayed, and then finished with a great ending, right? Let's see. 49er Media says, would love to hear your thoughts on the extension for McKivitz and signing Kendrick Bourne. Yep, Greenlaw is hurt. Yeah, we will get to McKivitz and Bourne. I don't have a ton to say, but, I do have a little bit that I'm going to talk about kind of at the end of this topic. Ricky Pearsall was another player that stood out to me, and he was also another player that I talked about in terms of breakout players. Pearsall had 4 catches for 108 yards, which is 27 yards per catch, which is insane. And the way that he played reminds me of the way that the 49ers used Brandon Ayuk in 2023, which, Ayuk, that was his best season. The double move, with the game on the line was awesome. I think it was a great play by Purdy, because, at first when he did his pump fake, I was like, oh no, he's hesitating. And then I realized, oh no, he's pump faking. And then, he got the corner to bite on the fake, and it was a great throw. And that was one of the more clutch plays of the game. But in terms of Pearsall, that was a great play by him. But I didn't like how Shanahan just kind of abandoned Pearsall after the opening drive. But I'm thankful that they went back to him late in the game, because if they didn't, they would have lost the game. And I really feel like Pearsall adds a much-needed element to this offense, and it's just a joy to watch him play. It's also a joy for me to have him on my fantasy team, but, No, I I don't know. He's fun to watch. And then I do see Papa J is in the chat. Papa J, he says, "What up, Josh and Mike?
What
What's up,
up?
Papa J? Welcome back." George Kittle also stood out to me in a good way and then a bad way. He was very good early, and then he left the game after a hamstring injury. But we'll see how much time that he'll have to miss. I'm hoping that he'll be back sooner rather than later, but we'll see. And then Jake Tonjes, he stood out because he had to come in and kind of step it up after Kittle went out. And what a game-saving play at the end. That was truly clutch. That throw was either going to be intercepted or at very least batted away. But he just came up and ripped it out of the air. And that play, honestly, like it was a little bit more contested than I'd say the catch was, but like just kind of the way that Purdy was rolling out to his right and then looking, just for where to throw the football, it was very reminiscent of the catch, Montana to Clark. So obviously, Jake Tonjes has a long way to go before we can ever compare him to Dwight Clark, but just that play. Um, Plays like this are like what really makes it pay off to be a Niner fan. And like I said, Jake Tonjes going forward is going to have to step up in Kittle's absence. We'll kind of see how long he's going to be out. I don't know if there's like maybe a press conference going on right now or that happened this morning where Shanahan provided an update, but I haven't heard anything as it pertains to Kittle. Maybe you guys can let me know in the comments, but yeah. I wasn't a fan of Shanahan calling shovel passes for the backup tight ends, but that's likely because it was just in the game plan for the week, and he wanted to just switch it up from, the McCaffrey show, which he didn't switch it up from. It was we'll get to Christian McCaffrey in a second, but the shovel passes to the tight ends were just not very effective. Man, my camera is really bothering me right now. I'm gonna try one more time to restart it. Mike, do you have any thoughts on anything that any players that I've talked about so far or on the game while I try and
No, but
restart
it's
it?
funny because I'm watching your camera and it looks good on my end. I don't know if anybody in the comments can tell us how it seems to be looking.
It comes in and out. Pause.
Hmm.
It just it'll start doing a delay. So
Maybe for me it looks good because I'm on Discord. I'm not sure, but
yeah, give me a second. I'm gonna just restart it one more time.
yeah, I mean, as far as my my viewpoint on this game, I didn't really get to watch much of it. I did watch, I think, the Seahawks opening. Niners media says camera looks fine. I did watch the opening Seahawks drive, which ended in a Charbonnet touchdown. I have Kenneth Walker in a couple leagues, so I was really curious about that. It's a little alarming, the usage for the Seahawks running backs, but admittedly, I kind of expected it, especially early on in the season for Kenneth Walker.
Mm-hmm.
Coming off of what sounds like a foot injury this offseason, so I think they're easing him back in, and I think they're just being wise to probably do more of like a 60-40 share. And right now that 60 is Charbonnet, but I think as the season progresses, it'll be Kenneth Walker in the big moments. And goal line situation, as it was in this game, it'll be Charbonnet. And then the only other thing I saw was the very end of the game, which was the big heroic Nick Bosa play.
Yeah.
I think I also saw the Kittle touchdown, and then I didn't know that he had injured his hamstring until after the fact.
Yeah, no, the hamstring injury I think it just kind of came out of nowhere in the game where like, hey, Kittle's out, and then it was like, oh yeah, he's out for the game. He's got a hamstring strain. So, the 49ers luck, it's just every single week, somebody has to pop up with a hamstring strain. So, I don't know what adjustment they need to make on like the training side of it, but it's one of those things where death, taxes, and 49er hamstring injuries.
Hmm. And is your camera supposed to be on right now?
No, I just restarted the whole thing. So
Okay,
just give me one moment as I pop that
for
back
sure.
up, and then if not, then it's just gonna have we're just gonna have to bear with it for this show. But I know the camera's gone right now, so hopefully it should be back up in 1 second. All right, hopefully no delay, but you know we're just gonna roll with it. I did all I could right now, so but it looks good. Looks good right now. We'll see. So going back to players that stood out. So Kyle Juszczyk also, I think he had a pretty good game. He had 2 catches for 32 yards, and it felt like, I don't know, it felt like he was actually finally being, utilized. Um, which, I mean, he has games where he's just like not, he's not even used at all. But this game, like, it was incredibly efficient. Um, and then Christian McCaffrey, if we want to talk about like volume over efficiency, like McCaffrey, he was the offensive game plan in this game, and they really needed him. Really, like the offense was able to actually get a lot of yards in this game, but uh, they couldn't score because their kicker was missing, missing kicks or they Jake Moody. We'll talk about him in a second, but in terms of McCaffrey, it was encouraging that he was able to last the entire game considering he got 31 touches. He had 22 carries for 69 yards and 9 catches for 73 yards. So, he was Purdy's security blanket. He got a lot of checkdowns. And Kyle Shanahan, I really feel like he needs to find a way to scale back McCaffrey's workload over the course of the season, or he's not going to make it to the end. Unless it's 2019 McCaffrey, but it was really tough for me to tell whether or not McCaffrey was the same player that we saw in 2023. Did I say 2019? I meant 2023 McCaffrey. But well, I guess it could have been 2019 CMC as well because he was good that year too. But like I said, it was tough to see or tell whether or not he was the same player we saw 2 years ago because he didn't really have a lot of room to, be in open space. But ultimately, I'm just glad that he made it through the whole game with that workload, and so that was positive. Um, the other running back, Brian Robinson Jr., he had 9 carries for 33 yards, and honestly, while I was watching him, I was pretty underwhelmed. Um, I had higher hopes for him, and maybe that's just my unrealistic expectations because you get kind of like a big name guy from the Commanders, like he was the starting running back, but um, there's a reason why Washington wanted to trade him. But there was one play in particular where I felt like he could have cut back. He had like blockers on the outside, and he could have gained more yards. I feel like, but he just kind of chose to run out of bounds and give up on the play. So I was like, man, be a little bit more aggressive. He didn't look as aggressive as I thought like he might. So I think Isaac Guerrero is a better back, but it's just that he just can't stay healthy. Um, and next player I want to talk about is Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy was 26 of 35 with 277 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. And Purdy was playing well, in the game until he started to turn the ball over. And his 2 interceptions, like, really just they were Jimmy picks. So like they really reminded me of Jimmy Garoppolo interceptions, where one he just the first one he didn't see the linebacker, and just kind of threw it to him, and or he threw it to the spot where I think was it Jennings. I think Jennings was going to be open over the middle, and then the linebacker just kind of was there, but Purdy didn't see him. And then the other one was just a head scratcher where he tried to force it to Pearsall. Like Pearsall was never open on this play, right? It was almost as if the receiver, the cornerback was the wide receiver, and just Purdy's like, all right, he's open, but there were 4 guys in the area, 4 defenders in the area, so it was just that was a head scratching interception.
Mm.
Um, and then I'm being kind of critical of Purdy right now, but like Purdy also should have connected with Pearsall for a touchdown because Ricky Pearsall was open, I guess on the right side at the front pylon, but Brock took too long to get the ball there, and the corner was able to bat it away. And while it was a good play by the corner, I feel like Brock's lack of a fastball is one of the reasons why he didn't, why Pearsall didn't get the touchdown there. So I feel like if Brock had like, a little bit of a stronger arm, he could have zipped it right, right into that corner because it shouldn't have been a tight window throw. But Mike, how Purdy's throws are kind of, they're not, like, uh, all his passes feel like touch passes, right? Like he
Mm.
doesn't really have a fastball.
Right. I typically, those over the middle of the field, crossing routes just feel like, yes, touch passes.
Hmm. But yeah, I mean, other encouraging things is Purdy did show up like on the final drive when we needed him most, and you know, I think like one of the big things we have yet to see from Purdy is many games where they come from behind and are able to score a touchdown and win the football game. So that was one of those games that I mean he the more and more he gets experience with that, the more comfortable he's going to feel over the course of his career. You know, so that was also like a really good thing, and it was against a good Seahawks defense. Like the Seahawks defense was playing pretty well in this game. They were stopping the run. So and then Purdy was down, not just Demarcus Robinson and Jennings went down, but what is it? Well, Demarcus Robinson with the suspension, but not having a complete set of receivers, and then not having George Kittle, you know, Purdy battled some adversity. Really, the whole team battled adversity. Um, so Nick Bosa on the defensive side of the football, he's probably I mean he came in at the perfect time to drive the defender back into Darnold and seal the game by recovering the fumble that he kind of forced by pushing the tackle into him. Uh, the 49ers are going to need Bosa to be the closer on games that are close, on close games this season. So far he's 1 for 1 in those close games.
Yeah, I think when I watched the end of this game, um, admittedly, the Saturday, pregame picks that we had, where we chose, of course, the Raiders and the Seahawks to win the games respectively, there was a part of me that was like, well, here it is. 2-minute drill. The Niners are on, or the Seahawks were on like the 15-yard line. It was like what, maybe first or second down. Like I'm
Mm-hmm.
thinking they're gonna get this done. And what was the final? Was it like 17-14 or something?
Final score?
Yeah, for the Niners.
Yeah, I think it was 17-13.
So yeah, they needed the touchdown and they were in range to get it. And then right then and there, Boza came in and, like you said, played cleanup. He ended the game, ball game.
Yep,
Um,
that's what they
that's
pay
how
him
close
for.
it was. Yeah, that's how close it was. But big stars and big moments. And I think having Boza on the field was arguably one of the main differences in this game. And then not having Kittle, and in the wider scheme of things, not having Ayuk healthy right now, like that's the reason why this was a close game, you know? Um, and then on the other end of that would be having McCaffrey play a complete workload was a big reason for why you guys were able to win this game. Having a guy like Ricky Pearsall, who a lot of people questioned a couple years ago being the first round pick, without him, you're probably not winning this game. I think Juwan Jennings also went down, right?
Yeah, I think he had a shoulder injury.
Yeah, so I mean, the guys that were healthy in this game are the reason why you won. The guys that weren't healthy in this game are probably the reason why this was a closer game than maybe it would be at full health.
Mm-hmm. Uh, so going back to the defense, and then more things that stood out. I thought the safeties stood out as well. Marquez Siegel and Jason Pinnock, they're both new starters for the team, and they both played really well. Siegel had 5 tackles and Pinnock with 4. Renardo Green, I think that he stood out to me because of how often that they left him one-on-one with Jackson Smith and Jigba. I thought it was pretty risky, but for the most part, I'd say, I mean, if there was one area of the defense that was getting cooked, it was you know it was JSN just kind of cooking the Niners secondary, and it almost cost them the game. At the end, because there was that long connection to JSN that kind of set up the Seahawks, where it was like, oh man, we kind of left them too much time on the clock. Before we scored the touchdown to Jake Tonjes. But the other cornerback, the one that I know that you wanna talk about, is Diamador Lenore. I didn't really notice him much besides when he pushed a player over the pile late.
Yeah.
And I think he was only thrown out like once, which is a good sign that he was covering pretty well. Mike, do you have anything that you want to say about Lenore? Because I know in the group chat you said something about him.
I'm not a big fan of Diamador Lenore, the person, or maybe the play style. I don't know. Like, it's not necessarily about him as a corner. It's more he's just the guy who's, I don't know. Maybe he's your guys' Draymond Green or something. Not to say that he's as dominant as Draymond Green by no means, but just that he seems to not mind talking even when it's off the field. Like, I just found it very odd. I think it was this off season when he was like just on Instagram talking fat shit about Jackson Smith and Jigba and how he's gonna lock him down and blah blah blah. Maybe he called him a bitch. I don't know. But he also kind of made a side comment about like the quarterback, which at that time the quarterback was Geno Smith. So naturally, now that's my quarterback. Now I have a problem with it.
That's my quarterback.
Yeah, but I don't know. He just seems like a guy who doesn't mind running his fucking mouth, and it admittedly makes me want to see him fail. And seeing him push Jackson Smith and Jigba over the pile early on in this game, after the whistle, it just, I'm not the biggest fan of it. Sometimes that kind of stuff does, excite me when it's my team, and I'm like, I need somebody to show something, like especially when a game just seems dead, like there's nothing happening. Maybe the defense isn't doing good or something. I want to see a guy go out there, like Tart on the Chargers, like punch somebody in the fucking face. I don't give a fuck. So, if Diamador Lenore is doing that and it riles up his team, great. But if it riles up the other team, not so great. And after that play, Jackson Smith and Jigba, like you just said, torched the fuck out of your defense. So, I don't know. It has felt this entire time like this is a one-sided
Shit
beef.
talk.
Yeah, I've never seen Jackson Smith and Jigba ever say anything in response. Probably on the field, there are words exchanged, I'm sure. But there's no reason for Jackson Smith and Jigba to go on Instagram or whatever and be like, oh yeah, well, you're an asshole or something like, or I'm going to cook your ass or something like, it's just like, it's stupid. And it's just, I don't know. It's annoying.
I think the beef does stem. It's not so much one sided. I think maybe a lot of it was when DK Metcalf was on the team, and then also when Geno was on the team, because Geno talks he talks shit too. Like if you talk shit to him, he'll talk shit back. I know it meant a lot to Geno Smith when he beat the Niners last year, probably because of like the shit talk factor.
Probably.
But what is it like? Honestly, to me, it's like you compared Lenore to Draymond Green, but I'll give like a little bit more of a 1-to-1 comparison. I'd say he's more like this team's Jimmy Ward,
Uh-huh.
where Jimmy Ward was talking shit about Stafford,
Mm.
in the off season a couple years ago, and then like backed it up by having like a really big game. Like, um, I don't think it's the same. It's not like a 1-to-1 on both their games, being good, but uh, I do think that like DK Metcalf, it was like, all right, we got to talk shit because Mike, you and I both know DK Metcalf. It's
DK Metcalf is prone to being thrown off his game.
yes.
1000%. That works.
So
I just think
the way
this is awkward to
Uh-huh.
me. It's just weird because Jackson Smith and Jigba isn't that guy. Like, if that's what he's trying to do, he's failing miserably, and he almost cost the game because Jackson Smith and Jigba was the offense yesterday.
Yeah.
Continue.
So, like, here's what I'll say. I'd say JSN kind of gets like collateral because there's the shit talk kind of stemming from maybe like DK Metcalf starts it, and like it's like, well, at least DK Metcalf was the wide receiver one. Who the fuck are you? So I think it's like, I think that's what the vibe is on the shit talk to JSN. It's like, oh man, they got rid of their best receiver. Like, this guy wasn't even their best receiver. This guy fucking sucks. And then, like you said, JSN had a big game yesterday. So, but they lost.
Lenore probably doesn't pay attention to like draft capital and where a guy gets drafted. He probably doesn't give a fuck if Jackson Smith and Jigba went to Ohio State or Coastal Carolina, or if he was a first rounder or a seventh rounder. In his eyes, I'm assuming he's just like, oh, who the fuck are you? But the answer is a really damn good receiver who's going to continue to get better and better.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah,
it's going to bite him in the ass.
Lenore was a 5th round pick, so I really don't think that he cares about draft capital. Like, if you can play, you can play. I didn't like JSN his rookie year. Like,
you had him on your fantasy team and he was dealing with DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett and that offensive coordinator.
No, but
now with a better coordinator.
I watched the All 22 that week 1 when I had him on my fantasy team, and I was like, why the fuck did I pick this guy? I was like, right. I didn't think he was any good, really.
Yeah, I think a rookie in week 1 is not always going to put up Emeka Egbuka numbers.
Yeah.
There is all right. A thing called development.
I was comparing him because they played the Rams that week 1. I was comparing him directly to Puka Nacua, who I ended up, dropping a lot of fab for because Puka from week 1 was just like, he was blocking hard every play. He was getting targeted like almost every play. And I don't know. Like, I will admit JSN now, hell of a player. I didn't like him back then. So, I don't know where the JSN hate stems from Lenore, but it's like you said, he's just gonna talk shit, and you as a non-49er fan want to root against that, which I completely understand.
Yeah, it's just, if Jackson Smith and Jigba started it, which maybe he did on the field, and I don't know that.
Yeah.
But if he had started it, I'd probably be rooting for Lenore. I'd be like, oh, Smith and Jigba's a dick. But from what I can tell, there's one dick.
Yep.
And I don't like more than one dick.
Yeah. No, you only like receiving one.
I don't like any. I don't like any. There you go. Shit. I misspoke.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry to anybody who doesn't want to hear that going through their speakers or headphones, but yeah, Mike's a little freak. Let's talk about the defense though. The defense as a whole was very solid and I think was the best unit on the field. They limited Sam Darnold to 150 passing yards, and they limited the Seahawks run game to 84 rushing yards, which 14 of those actually came from Darnold. So, they had, hold on, my math isn't mathing, 70 yards between, it was really mostly Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker, but there was also 2 other players that got carries. The 49ers defense made the Seahawks play a very one-dimensional game as 124 the 150 passing yards went to JSN. Like that to me is crazy that only 26 more yards went to any other player, right, in the passing game. I think the 49ers did a great job making JSN and Sam Darnold try and beat them, like especially JSN. They did a good job making him beat them rather than the running backs who are the strength of the Seahawks. So I think that's the Robert Saleh effect, and they can't afford to ever let him leave again. Jed, I don't know how much money you need to, you got to make him the highest paid coordinator because as long as Shanahan's here, Saleh needs to be here. So, I mean, unless Houston fires D'Amico Ryans and then he can come back and like they can switch and then Saleh can become a head coach and then like it's just like a cycle where we can just alternate between Saleh and D'Amico. I much prefer Saleh personally because he was here first and then his defenses are really really successful like kind of wherever he goes. So, and I feel like Saleh is just I don't know. It's personal preference. I think they're both really good. What?
Just Anthony. What is up, Anthony?
Bro, pretty stinks. Oh my god. Oh, all right. Let's finish up. So, speaking of sucking and letting people go, or not letting people go, Jake Moody, please, for the love of God, Kyle, it's over. Cut Jake Moody now. He's going to cost you games. He nearly costed you week 1. It's not worth it. No, I feel like as unconfident as we are whenever he lines up for a kick, I feel like Jake Moody is less confident when he lines up for a kick. So I don't know what you have to do. Call Greg Joseph. Find somebody. I think Moody's just in his head, and it's not going to get better. So do what you need to do. But literally, Mike, what wasn't one of my keys to the game? Do not put the ball, or do not put the game in Jake Moody's hands because you will not win. And you could even see it on the sideline. Shanahan was like, "This mother," like just so upset. Dude, you're the head coach. You literally have the opportunity to cut his ass. Get him off the team. Get him off the fucking team. But, yeah. My final thoughts are that the 49ers started off the season, with a win against one of their tougher opponents, on their schedule. And this game really gave me 2019 vibes. What's going on, Mike? My stutter?
No, you're good.
Okay.
I'm just seeing funny shit on my phone right now.
Oh, all right. This game really gave me 2019 vibes, and it reminds me of games like, from that season where they won late and overcame adversity, like the Steelers game, the Cardinals game, and then just seeing Saleh and Shanahan embrace the victory together after the game was like, it was just such a breath of fresh air. It's literally healing my soul, just kind of seeing that. So this game gives me much more confidence about this team overall going forward. And, as 49er media did mention in the comments, the 49ers did sign wide receiver Kendrick Bourne. So they brought him back. He last played for the Niners either in 2019 or 2020. I think it was 2019. And he's been on the Patriots ever since. And the 49ers did extend Colton McKivitz. So, we'll talk about that now. They're going to need Kendrick Bourne to be probably like the third down weapon that Jennings normally is if Jennings has to miss some time. And then if Jennings does come back, I think that they have a good trio of wide receivers if you add Kendrick Bourne there. And I think he should be, comfortable with Shanahan's system because he was here for a couple of years. And in terms of McKivitz, I think the contract isn't the most costly one. And he's been solid as of like the past 2 years. So while I wanted them, in the years past to upgrade from him, they don't really have much options as of this current moment. And he's getting similar money to Jalen Moore, who went to Kansas City. And I think McKivitz is a better player. So I think it's a 3-year deal. So the 49ers, at least they can try and upgrade later on. But right now, we might actually have to look at the other tackle position because that's going to be probably the glaring need. Trent Williams didn't have the best game against the Seahawks. And, we just kind of have to monitor on whether or not Father Time is catching up with Trent Williams or, if he just had a bad game. So, I mean, he is getting up there in age, and in the past, he has been probably the best left tackle in the league, but, you can only do it for so long. So, we'll see. Mike, do you have any other final thoughts before I get to some comments and switch it over to the predictions for the Niners versus Saints?
I said earlier that, a big reason why this game was as close as it was because of the injured and non-injured players in this game. The other reason is because of Jake Moody.
Mm-hmm.
I said Drake Moody.
Yeah, I'm going to quickly, Fonzie, welcome back to the show, says, how do you feel about Bourne coming back? I personally, I like the move because, especially the fact that Jennings is injured right now. If I remember correctly, Bourne was like the go-to guy on third down back when he was on the 49ers. So it's like if you have two guys that you feel comfortable going to on third down on the field at the same time, that's best case scenario. If you need him to back up the guy that you normally go to on third down, that's also a really good, scenario. He's also not expensive, and the 49ers do have cap space. They need a wide receiver. I don't know. I like Kendrick Bourne more than Marquez Valdez-Scantling and Russell Gage and the other receivers that they currently have. I don't know if Jordan Watkins was a healthy scratch or if he's injured, but I would like to see Jordan Watkins get a little bit more involved, but yeah. All right. I do see some fighting going on in the comments. Let me try to get a little caught up. So let me see. Yeah, Papa J says Juice is underutilized. The running game was meh. Yeah, they couldn't really run the ball against the Seahawks front, so they're gonna have to either clean that up or, I guess, increase CMC's targets but decrease his rushes. Robinson did look better as the game went on. Let's see. Moody's got to go. Absolutely, I agree with that. Oh, okay. 49er media. All right. Brian Robinson did look better as the game went on. Yeah, I know it was his first game, with the Niners, but running backs typically, I feel like running backs are a little bit more plug and play. Like you got to know what hole that you're running to, and you got to hit the hole hard. Which I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully he's better going forward. Papa J says Brian Robinson has tunnel vision. It was Robinson's first game, like we said. Papa J says they look like touch passes on TV, but they're more like strong rainbow passes. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say, was rainbow, but I just didn't want to use, I didn't want to equate it to that because it makes me feel like I'm talking about Little League Baseball. He likes to throw over the linebackers. I like what Kyle said. He wants to go see contested passes, and if they're going to be picked, he'd rather the wide receivers make the pass interference rather than a pick. Yeah, I agree. It's better for Brock to let it rip than to not be like Jimmy Garoppolo, who wouldn't like to push the ball down the field. Mike, what do you think of this comment right here? Papa J says, Diamador Lenore's shit-talking reminds me of Ocho Cinco. It gets the wide receivers off their game.
I think it depends on the receiver. Like we said about DK Metcalf, essentially versus Jackson Smith and Jigba. It works versus DK Metcalf because DK Metcalf has a temper. I think Jackson Smith and Jigba is more of the Jacoby Myers type where they don't really show their emotion on the field as much as receivers typically do. So maybe Maybe Lenore is just trying extra hard because he knows that. I don't know, but Smith and Jigba just seems like more of an even keeled guy who is, you know, focused on his play rather than his emotions. Whereas a lot of receivers get emotional because of their play. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So I don't know. Like I understand the idea of it, and it works for a lot of guys. I think Jalen Ramsey has been known for that, and we saw Jalen Ramsey and Garrett Wilson this weekend having a absolute battle where they were literally kind of fighting on the field all the way towards the last play of the game. It was Ramsey versus Garrett Wilson, and you know that works in certain cases, but I think in this case, I don't know how much Lenore lined up on Jackson Smith and Jigba, so I can't really speak to it. I didn't get to watch the entire game, or else I would have probably focused a little bit more on it. I just know that Smith and Jigba was like getting north of 60% of first read targets. He was like 90% of their offense or pass offense. It was insane.
Hmm. And then also, I do want to add a little fuel to the fire on the war that's going on in the comments between Anthony and Papa J. But Anthony, and I can say this because I like you. But last week you kind of called out the show of not having Niner fans tune in. But right now, I mean, we got Fonzie in here, we got Papa J, we got 49er Media. Like, it's not looking too good. I mean, where's Joel and where are the other Raider fans? Where's Frank? What's going on,
Frank.
man? What's going on? Oh yeah, Paulina, another Raider fan. She's in here. So like I said, it depends on the day. It depends on the stream. But yeah, I just wanted to add a little fuel to the fire. Where are the Raider fans at? Especially, I mean, you guys are starting 1-0. Like, that doesn't happen. That hasn't happened very often for the Raiders. I'm also cooking Mike over here too. I think we can move on
Yeah,
to our next topic though.
yeah, we're both on the 1-0 feeling
Oh,
at the end of the day.
hey,
Well,
ask
well,
and you
well.
shall receive. Joel is here. He said, "What up?" I literally, yep. All right, Joel is here. Anthony, your guy came in clutch for you. So,
Look
uh,
at that.
Joel, don't worry. We will be talking about the Raiders in a little bit here. We're going to finish up the 49er talk by talking about the 49ers versus Saints. So, we're just going to be providing some predictions here. Mike and I were both wrong about the Niners last week, which Pia's dad was right that the Niners were going to win. So good thing that neither of us placed a bet. But like we said, it was going to be a coin toss last week, right, Mike? We were
Yeah,
both kind of
I think
50-50.
it's it's pretty telling that this game literally came down to the final play. A defensive turnover was the difference of this game, or at least the ultimate end difference of this game. Like it was that close.
Yeah. So the 49ers are going to be on the road this week. They're going to be on the road again in New Orleans on Sunday morning to play the Saints. I predict that the 49ers defense is going to shut down the Saints offense. I'm not after they did it last week to Darnold, who I think is a better quarterback than Rattler, and to the running backs who are a little bit more fresh than Alvin Kamara, you know, I just think that it's really a matter of how many points the 49ers are going to be able to put up without Kittle and Jennings. Um, but here are my keys to the game, for this week. I think, number one, they're going to have to limit Alvin Kamara. So, like I said, the 49ers did really well this past week against Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet. They're going to have to do it again by stopping a typically more dynamic back in Alvin Kamara. Like I said, he's a little older. Like he might need help crossing the street sometimes. Like if they want to get their assisting the elderly badge. But that means swarming the football on checkdowns. Obviously I'm kidding with Alvin Kamara. He's like the same age as McCaffrey. So really, I'm just joking. But that means swarming the football on checkdowns and, really just kind of being tough up front. Alfred Collins, Kalia Davis, CJ West, which I thought I was going to see a little bit more of CJ West in the Seahawks game. I didn't really talk about that, but, it is what it is. But, yeah, the 49ers, I think also another key is going to be pressuring Rattler early. I predict that if the 49ers are able to make Rattler feel uncomfortable and pressured early, I think he's going to fold. I don't have a lot of faith in Rattler to bounce back from early adversity against this defense. And then on the offensive side of the ball, the 49ers need to get Pearsall and the other receivers more involved. Because like I said, they have to scale back McCaffrey's touches, but Pearsall can't do it on, all on his own either. So while Pearsall should see an uptick in workload, I think that they need to get Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Kendrick Bourne if he plays. They need to get those guys going. And like I said, I would love to see Jordan Watkins, Jacob Cowing, but I think Cowing actually is injured. I don't know about Jordan Watkins. I should know, but I don't. So let me know in the comments. Is Jordan Watkins, was he just a healthy scratch for the game? Let me know. The 49ers also just protect the football. Like it's every game, that's the key. But, just kind of coming from last week, they need to clean up the interceptions. And really, if the 49ers are able to protect the football, even if they're not going to be scoring a lot of touchdowns, they should be able to dominate the time of possession in this game. And I guess I can add another key to the game. Cut Jake Moody right now. Like, it's not too late. I promise you. It's never too late. I would almost rather just add another, somebody else who can make a difference than having a kicker. But, I mean, you know what? If you're going to keep Jake Moody this week, just don't attempt any kicks. Like, if he's going to kick, honestly, the broadcast should just come to, cut to commercial and then just let us know how it went, like if he made it or not. Just don't show us anymore. Don't show it. But overall, I think this game should be easy work for the 49ers, and I would be concerned if it wasn't. So I'm picking the 49ers. What about you, Mike?
Yeah, this is an easy 49ers pick for me as well. Really, the only player that needs to, that your defense needs to worry about is Alvin Kamara. I want to say I heard that Olave might have won in the blue 10 at some point in this week 1 game.
Yeah.
If it's concussion related, then by God, I mean, hopefully it's not. But yeah, I think Deommodore Lenoir should have a good game against Spencer Rattler and company. There's not much really to be said here. The real question is how long will the Niners keep Jake Moody if he continues to struggle? It's at New Orleans, so this one's indoors. Maybe that helps him, but I don't know if that's ever helped him before. So we'll see.
Yeah, indoors, outdoors, it doesn't fucking matter. He'll miss kicks, dude. Doesn't matter. So, yeah, don't leave the game up to Jake Moody. That should be a key by default every week. Just, even when he's off the team, don't let him sneak into the game, and don't let him hide in a luggage on the team plane and then just get off and then be the kicker for the week. Like, just whatever you have to do, just cut ties, Kyle. Just do it. But that's all I got for the Niners. So we both got Niners?
We both got Niners. That's pretty easy.
Yeah, it's an easy one this week, I think. And I would be concerned if it's not. Or I would be even more concerned if they just fucking lose. I'd lose my mind. So, yeah.
This has been a weird week 1 as far as fantasy football. Somebody made a good point. I don't know who it was that I follow, but a lot of starters, didn't get much play in the preseason as you would expect. So it's kind of typical. It's pretty notorious for Joe Burrow and the Bengals offense to just struggle the first 2 weeks of the season every year. That goes for any given team. If you don't get much play in the preseason as starters, as a unit, it makes sense for offensively these teams to kind of start slow. I'd say it's nice, just like fantasy football. You got the win over me, no doubt. It's nice to come out of week. Yeah, of course. It's good. It's always good to come out of week 1 with the win because you don't fully know what's gonna happen. You don't fully know. I want to say I was struggling to choose between George Pickens and Calvin Ridley. Turns out I should have chose neither. It should have been Jacoby Myers. And I didn't. I started George Pickens Thursday, and then Friday the news comes out. Oh, Christian Gonzalez might not play in this game, and I'm like, go figure. Wouldn't have made a difference. Doesn't matter. But I guess point being here is just it's nice. You get that week one, you squeak out the week one. So your fantasy team as well as the Niners, right? You squeak out the win. And then week two, I don't know who you're playing in fantasy. This isn't a fantasy thing anymore.
Renee.
You guys are playing in pretty easy team. Renee? Okay. This doesn't go towards Renee. This is more towards the Niners. You get a pretty easy week two game, all things considered. Like, I mean, your schedule's supposed to be the easiest in the league, but, I mean, this is as easy as it comes with the Saints. Like, as far as starting the season slow and, like, ramping things up, that's the perfect way to go. And then there's the other times where you have a big game, like, say, Chiefs-Chargers or that Ravens and Bills game last night. Like, you just have to start firing on all cylinders, or else you're going to lose a huge game, right? That game last night was crazy. The Chargers winning the game last week is a good segue in towards the Raiders and next week's game. First, we got to go over the Patriots, but I guess point being is it's good for you guys to have that Saints matchup early and figure it out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Joel shares the sentiment with you. He said he got worked in fantasy this week.
Yeah, I didn't do too good in most of my leagues. It was, like I said, it was a weird week. Like I'd say give it by week 3 or 4, things will start evening out. But yeah, now that I lost week 1, it's like I have to win week 2. Starting 0-2 is not good.
Who do you play this week?
I don't know yet. It's either like Jordan or Enrique.
Oh, you know what?
Lorenzo.
I don't play Renee. We didn't put the schedule.
Oh, yeah, you better.
Yeah.
I guess after this.
Yeah, we didn't update the schedule. That's why. Oh,
Yep.
Shit.
Well,
I
good thing I brought it up.
Yeah, good thing you brought it up. I fucking forgot. That would have been bad. I was like, literally, like, I was like, I don't think I play Renee twice. I'm already getting them out of the way.
Yeah, I'll set a reminder right now.
Yeah,
for like 4 p.m.
While I get Fonzie's comment, I want you to quickly text the group chat, like, hey, we need to update the schedule. Like, the current matchups might not be the actual matchups. But Fonzie says, I know this is horrible, but I kind of want to see how bad he can do this season. Talking about Jake Moody. Like, if the 49ers just kind of leave him, which Shanahan after the game, I think, said, like, there's no question that Jake Moody's going to be the kicker. Like, really, there's no question at all? Like, none. Like, you weren't sitting, you weren't standing there on that game like, yeah, you know what? We might lose because of this guy. Like, yeah, that's my unquestioned kicker. I'm not even going to think about it. But I think, like, maybe they are probably going to cut him. They just wanted to tell him first rather than, tell the media, like, yeah, you're fucking, you're out of here, dude. But, what is it? Like, just the notion of, letting him go as far as he can this season, like, just being horrible, I think would be hilarious. Just from, like, if you want to, like, make it a metaphor or something, it would be like, that would be like Kyle Shanahan just being like a complete, like, pretend like he's just letting someone sleep with his wife, like, but instead in this instance, it would be he's just letting Jake Moody fuck over the whole fan base. We all know it's coming, right? Jake Moody is just fucking an entire 53-man roster. Their hard work, could just be worth nothing with Jake Moody. And that doesn't mean I want somebody to come up and like fucking grab him by the throat like Debo did Tabor Pepper last year. But I don't know, man. It's like, how many games can you let this just be an issue? So, yeah. Oh man. All right. I'm not gonna get to. All right. Maybe Fonzie's comment. It shows how good our team is or can be despite the kicker issues. We still won. Yeah, but the thing is, if you look at everything in that Niner game versus the Seahawks, Like the Niners won the time of possession. They had more plays. They gained more yards, and the fact that it was close, like I don't know, man. That's also it's a little scary, but thank God they won, right? Just get Jake Moody out of here. The fans have been begging for 3 years. They didn't even like him when he went to the Super Bowl. So it's just it's been every kick is a roller coaster. So speaking of a roller coaster, I think it's time for us to take a turn and talk about the Raiders. Are you ready, Mike?
Yes, sir.
All right. The Raiders played the Patriots, and the Raiders, like always, started off 0-1. Oh, wait a second. No, they didn't. They won. Mike, how are you feeling? They're undefeated under Pete Carroll.
I feel good. I feel like I didn't know this stat, if you will, but every I think NFL stop that Pete Carroll has gone to, he has won his opening game. So I know he's the Patriots. I think he was the Jets head coach for a year or something. Seahawks and now Raiders, 4 teams. And he might be the first coach to ever do that. Yeah, I feel pretty good. I do have some concerns. I guess I'm just going to be the jaded guy this year. I don't know. I mean, it depends on how the season goes moving forward, but I think there is a difference between the current Patriots and the current Chargers. Our weeks 1 and 2 opponents. But we'll see how they do and how they compete, and you know, pair up against the Chargers relative to the Patriots. Um, I would say this game was a tale of two halves, and I took notes during the game that I can just get into, and hopefully I'll be relatively quick through them. The first drive on offense, the Raiders lost uh, the coin
Toss.
flip. Yeah, the Patriots deferred, so we received the ball to start the game. The first drive was excellent. 0 negative plays on third down, maybe third and like 8 in the red zone. Maybe it might have even been like 25 yards. I don't know. Trey Tucker got the touchdown from Geno Smith. It was a perfectly placed pass. The Patriots, drew up a blitz, but man, on that first drive, the offensive line was just humming. Like every play was positive, and on the blitz pickup, everybody, including Gianti, just kept Geno clean, and Trey Tucker beat the guy, and got the touchdown. Defense got a 3-and-out on the first defensive drive, so this game started wonderfully. And initially the offensive line looked really good, but then as the drives kind of went on, I noticed, and then some of the fantasy people I noticed, or I follow, noticed that Brock Bowers was not in on every offensive play. And I said last podcast, Bowers was a guy that I didn't draft in any fantasy leagues, in large part because of Michael Mayer. Well, the preseason I think did allude to this, but we just didn't think anything of it because it was the preseason. But he wasn't playing every snap. And in this game, it was very much so. Like, I think at one point he was playing like barely 50% of snaps, which is very strange considering he's like one of the star guys on this team. But when he did play, when he was on the field, he was getting targets and he was getting schemed open, and when he wasn't playing, it was either Michael Mayer or Ian Thomas, most likely, to run block and whatnot. But Michael Mayer had a solid game too. So moving forward, Geno Smith threw an INT, I guess, on the second drive. He was throwing a pass to Bowers. It was a little behind him. I gotta, it was a bit on Geno. I don't fault Bowers.
Geno kind of forced
but it was. He forced it. Again, it was behind him. If he just led him to the sideline, it's probably a catch. But because he threw it a little bit behind him, there was a battle for the ball. the corner, I think it was Carlton Davis, deflected it, and then the safety behind him got the pick. So it's not like it was a pass that, that was the worst pass I've seen. That was clearly to the corner. It's like maybe Bowers could have just angled his hand a different way, and it's not a pick, but um, nonetheless, it was behind the targeted receiver, so not a good pass from Geno. One of the few bad passes in this game. The Patriots start getting the pass game going. I did notice a play, I think, on this second offensive drive for the Patriots that Kuntz was in coverage. And I think he was against a tight end in the flat, and Kuntz was backpedaling, and I think he fell over, and then the guy was wide open. I don't understand the premise of these zone coverage schemes where you have to have the edge defender suddenly back out into coverage. I think that's dumb as fuck. I've never understood it, whether it's Madden or watching a real game. That is not their strength. That has never been their strength. If you're going to do that, if you're going to have an edge defender, like, pretend to, you know, be going in on the pass rush and then, oh, he's going to back out and go into coverage, why not swap him out for a linebacker? You know what I mean? Like, that just never makes sense to me, but that was just a tidbit or a pet peeve, in the moment. Like, it got them a first down. On third down, Drake May started cooking. The Patriots did get a touchdown. I don't know who caught the touchdown, but it was actually solid coverage from Jeremy Chin, like just milliseconds away from his hand deflecting the pass and it being incomplete. Like, it was good coverage. But tie ball game, 7-7. Raiders get the ball. They're forced to punt. Patriots get the ball, march down the field, but they missed the field goal. They had a rookie kicker. Something the Niners know about, missed field goals. Raiders get the ball again. They go 3 and out. So they started really strong, but we've had a couple of drives here where the Raiders offense isn't looking quite as good anymore. I did note that Geno loves his tight window passes. He's very confident in his arm. And the reason I put that was just because I think it was third down, like 3rd and 8. He threw a laser to Brock Bowers, but it was like 2 guys on both sides of Bowers. It was an exceptionally tight window that really couldn't be made, and that caused the punt. Patriots go down, they get a field goal. It's 10-7. God damn it. Myers and Bowers each have a drop in this first half, which is very, strange of both of them. It was a rainy game. So, slick football makes sense, but still odd or different for them, especially Jacoby Myers. Raiders get the 2-minute drill and immediately punt in the end of this first half. 10-7, halftime. Patriots get the ball at halftime. Crosby gets the pressure up the middle, causing May to throw an interception. Like, right as Crosby hit him, he was throwing the pass. It was like a duck, straight to pull him out. Raiders get the ball, march down the field with Myers. Lots of passing to Myers in the second half. And Gianti gets the goal line touchdown. Maybe not goal line, but like 4 to 5 yard rushing touchdown. I noted that Harold Landry was having a game. He had a couple sacks in this one. On the next Patriots drive, pull him out again with a play. He blows up Henderson on a screen. Maybe it wasn't a screen. It was more of like a, out in the flat pass. Just a dump off, right? Pull him out, just comes out of nowhere and just plows him for a tackle for loss. Raiders defense is coming alive in the second half. Tyree Wilson with a big sack on 3rd down. I noticed on that play specifically, he was the first guy off the snap, which usually it's Crosby, and never was it ever Tyree Wilson in his career. Something is clicking, something is working for him. He was the first guy off the snap on this play. Big reason why he got the sack. He also, somebody who struggled in this game, I think I have it in the notes later, but Will Campbell, the rookie left tackle for the Patriots, he struggled. He looked like a rookie in this one. And between, Crosby and Wilson on this play, and Kuntz, he had a rough outing. Brock Bowers makes plays when he's on the field. He got the 38-yard big pass play in the, I believe, 3rd quarter, which led to a Daniel Carlson 51-yard field goal. End of 3rd quarter, it's 17-10 Raiders. Patriots get the ball. They punt. They're forced to punt. Raiders get the ball. They're driving. Janty converts 3rd and 1. The Raiders move upfield a bit. Now 4th and 1. 9 minutes left in the game. It was like around the 40, 45-ish yard line on the Patriots side of the field. So, punting, let's go for it. Raiders do a pass. They run a pass play. And I think Gino kind of rolled out to the left a little bit. Maybe not. It wasn't like a direct rollout. It was more of like he was just surveying the field and moved to the left to avoid pressure. And he finds Michael Mayer running across the field and, gets it to him. Good heads-up play by Gino. Good catch by Michael Mayer, 1st down. Later on the drive, on 3rd and 1, Gianti had a run lane, but he lost his footing, probably again because the rain game, right? Rain, weather.
Yeah.
He falls, gets kind of a little bit of like a 1-yard loss, so the Raiders settle for another Carlson field goal. 20-10 Raiders, 7 minutes to go. Raiders pass rush is showing up. Crosby getting pressure. Kuntz forces a strip sack lined up on Will Campbell. Patriots do recover. 3rd and 18, 5.5 minutes left. They dump it off to Henderson, who gets 13 yards. On 4th and 5, false start Will Campbell. The Patriots punt. Big mistake by Will Campbell. I mean, that drive was just like, that sucks for Will Campbell. Raiders struggle to move the ball. 4 minutes left. 2nd and 16. Another negative play. Patriots' run defense was tough. On 3rd and 20, 36 yards to Dante Thornton. Seemingly the ball game. Again, on 3rd and 20, like I have known that for all my life to be, well, time for Derek Carr to dump it off to Jalen Richard for a 5-yard gain, and then punt on 4th down, or DeAndre Washington, or whoever else, right? Or I guess Josh Jacobs, and then punt the ball to the opposing team, who is, I mean, it's 4 minutes left in the game. Very unlikely that the Patriots are going to come back, but look at what happened with the Bills game last night, right? But still, 20-10, 4 minutes left, 3rd and 20, deep pass to Dante Thornton. I love Geno Smith's willingness to, go for it. Again, he has confidence in his arm, and it was a beautiful play to really ice this game. Raiders finish the drive on the Patriots' 38-yard line and decide to punt with 1:55 to go. Rather than kicking the field goal, running the risk of missing and giving the Patriots good field position, let's just pin them. And you're up 2 scores on either way. Patriots get a field goal. Like, they were able to go down the field, but they got to a 4th down. It was like 4th and short, and they were in field goal range, so they took the field goal. 20-13, they attempt the onside kick, but the Raiders just let it go out of bounds, and the Raiders get the win. The keys to this game, really, if you couldn't tell from my quick notes, second half adjustments. That first drive, that opening game script was beautiful. After that, the Raiders' offense struggled, especially the offensive line, especially the run blocking. But they gave up some pressure as well. Again, Harold Landry had I think like 2.5 sacks. Another guy had a sack. They were allowing the Patriots defense to affect them to the point where they weren't scoring points. It was 10-7 at halftime. I think Patriots were leading. Really, the only score was the opening drive. Again, the opening game script. Second half adjustments. The announcer, I don't know who was on the call for the Raider game yesterday, but they noted that the Raiders adjusted towards more first down play action, which helped a lot in the pass game. And Patrick Graham focused a lot more on sending extra rushers to disrupt Drake May in the second half, more blitzing in the second half, and because of that, more pressure, right? Which was one of the keys that we had going into this game.
Dude,
and then
Patrick Graham is so impressive, dude, because like I think it's very rare in the NFL for a coordinator to be there through 3 different head coaches in 3 years.
Yeah. I I like Patrick Graham a lot. I like that he has been able to, stick around through these different regimes, which one of those regimes, actually the regime that hired him was Josh McDaniels, who was on the other side of this, game. And I'll mention him in a second, but or talk about him more, I guess. The final key though to this game was the efficient play from Geno Smith, in my opinion, especially in the second half. Like he was incredibly efficient. Stat wise, Geno was 24 of 34 for 362 yards. I I'm pretty sure he's leading the league as of today,
in
going into Monday
passing.
Night Football in pass yards. One touchdown, obviously the one interception. Um, Obviously he'd like to have that back, and maybe the game is way different if they do. Maybe they succeed a bit more in running the ball, or I don't know. But 9 completions of 20 plus yards. That is very nice. That is a huge turnaround from last year.
I just want to
Um,
quickly, before we, get really far away from the passing yards. Geno's number two. Josh Allen last night
mm,
had 394. So
there
Geno
you go.
had
So he has
362. But for
that makes
for a
sense.
couple hours, he was leading.
Yeah, yeah, he was leading, and then yeah, the Bills just decided to uh, somehow come back in that Ravens game.
I want to
Um,
stick on that point. I want to stick on the
yeah,
passing yards point. Mike, do you know when is the last time the Raiders had a passer pass for more than 300 yards
like in general or in week one or what?
in general? When's the last time it happened?
Well, obviously Derek Carr has. Um, I Part of me wonders if Aiden O'Connell did. I don't think Gardner Minshew did.
Gardner
When
Minshew,
was
every
it?
game was like 500 yards. No. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. The last time that a Raider quarterback passed for more than 300 yards was November 29th, 2023. Aiden O'Connell had 340 yards against the Kansas City Chiefs.
Okay, that's. I was wondering if it was the Chiefs game for some reason.
It's
It
been a little
obviously it
while,
wasn't. Yeah,
and Gino did it in his first
2023.
game. And then before that, it was Jimmy Garoppolo with 324. I don't even know who he did that against.
Hmm.
Um, and before
Yeah,
that,
I
it
don't
was
know.
Jared Stidham. But all those three quarterbacks that I named, uh, they only did that once, right?
Yep.
Geno Smith in his first game with the Raiders,
Yep.
362 yards in his first game with the Raiders. And then obviously Derek Carr was probably the one before them, who did it last. Derek Carr has 33, games with more than 300 passing yards. I will
It's
say
actually
I
pretty
don't
good.
I don't anticipate that Geno Smith is going to do it every week, but it's a really good sign that in his first week he was able to do it. You know.
I think it's a good sign that he. I mean, I don't think anybody doubted that he had the capability to do it. I think it's a good sign that the offense has the capability to support it.
Yes.
Um, I think ideally the Raiders would like to be more even split, where they can maybe. I think in a perfect world they rush for 150 yards per game, like what they would like to do, rush for 150, pass for maybe around 200, 250. You know,
Mm-hmm.
but I think they want to be a run first team. But if they have to pass the ball, clearly they can. I just think you have to develop the run to sell out that play action. You know, so I think
Mm-hmm.
early on in the game they attempted a lot of runs, and maybe that's why in the second half the play action works so well for them because all offseason has been, oh, it's Ashton Gianti, that's the offense. And the Patriots probably bid on that and said, wow, they're really trying to run the ball here and they're actually not succeeding that much. And then you get them with the play action in the second half and it just works, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, but regardless, they need to be better uh, in the run game to win the bigger games, these harder opponents. Because again, I mean, last year the Patriots were kind of a joke. Um, Drake May wasn't the initial starter. Obviously, he was a rookie. He has, he still has some learning curves, right? Uh, But the just to keep going with my stats, the offensive line gave up 4 sacks in this game, 2.5 to Harold Landry, like I said. But I'd say worse than that, besides all the sacks and pressures that they may have given up, was Ashton Gianti going for 19 carries for 38 yards. Like, it was all Gianti. Raheem Mostert, this was kind of a shocker early on before the game. Raheem Mostert was a healthy scratch.
It
The
went
number 2
Zamir
running
White.
back was Zamir White. He was the only other running back to get a carry. Dylan Lobby, the third running back, which that was something I would have talked about in the preseason episodes if we had them, back when we had the cut downs. But I think it was the Niner game. I mean, even the Seahawks game, maybe. This preseason, I felt like Dylan Lobby was a guy that earned a spot on this team, and I was happy to see that he did. And I think the reasoning is because he has some juice to him. He is a solid return man. And also, I think a big reason, especially for a guy like Pete Carroll, is he seems to me like a great locker room guy. Like, I don't think anybody expected me to go on a
Is
Dylan Lobby rant right now,
is he the
but
one who after the game was like, "What time is it?"
yes,
That was him.
yes. And
Uh,
that is
that's awesome.
reason number one why he's on this team. I guarantee it. Because every time he scored, anytime there was a first down, that dude was hyping up everybody. And he had me dying laughing when he scored a touchdown, and I think it was the Seahawks game, and he did like this dice roll celebration on the ground. I was cracking up. So I just know, like, he for sure energizes the team, especially post game like that. Like, that's great. I just didn't expect Raheem Mostert to be a healthy scratch. That was a little shocking to me. It makes me wonder if they mostly signed him to be more of a mentorship role for Gianti than anything, which I'm okay with. And then in the event of an emergency, Raheem Mostert can play. Maybe they're trying to keep him healthy. I'm not sure.
I just wonder if, like, the game plan was, obviously to run the offense through GNT, but like it could be that they. I mean, Mostert is more of a speed. His biggest strength is speed, and maybe they just wanted to keep it between the tackles this week and not necessarily go off tackle. So maybe they wanted, if for whatever reason uh, Genty went down, I feel like Zamir White maybe captures what Genty has a little bit. I feel like Zamir White is a little bit closer skill set wise to Genty than Raheem Mostert.
Maybe. I think Mostert is more of your straight line guy. Zamir White has more of a youthful sort of body, I guess, literally.
Yeah.
But he's also more of a power back than either of them, I think. Well, not Gianti. I think Gianti probably has more pop to his game, but um, he's certainly not as agile as Gianti, and I don't know how good he is. Like, I like Zamir White as the power back sort of guy, but I can see the pairing of Zamir White and Mostert working to a degree, but not like being a successful run game. Like, you need Gianti to succeed on offense, I think.
Speaking of Genty succeeding on offense, so he wasn't necessarily able to have a great game stats wise. Papa J asked, "Do you put this on Genty or the O line?"
Oh, easily the O line. That was kind of my point. Was in the first half, it seemed like the offensive line was struggling, and even in the second half, they had their struggles. But yeah, the interior getting the run lanes was not the best. Um, it also felt like I think Parham maybe was giving a lot of pressure up the middle to Gino, and then I think Glaze may have gotten at least one of those, given up one of those sacks to Harold Landry on the right tackle. But yeah, that is where, when I started on this topic saying I do have some concerns, my main concern is the offensive line moving forward. I have I have been ever since it became a thing. Um, very. I have felt questionable about the decision to slide Jackson Powers Johnson to right guard and Jordan Meredith to center. I think you're not completely, but kind of playing both of them out of position when you had it right there going in. Jackson Power, Jackson Powers Johnson, good center. Jordan Meredith played excellent at right guard last year. What are we doing? Why are we switching them around? Maybe it'd be better if they were playing the other like the way that they were last year. I don't know that for sure. I'm not a fucking NFL coach. So I hope it works out, but the run lanes were not there because of the offensive line, not because of Gianti. Gianti was fine. He looked good. I am waiting on that big explosive run. I think it's coming, and I think there will be more and more of them. But the offensive line has to get him the lanes to make the big explosive runs. Because 19 carries, 38 yards, that's 2 yards per carry. That's not going to cut it.
Yeah.
And then two targets, 2 catches, 2 yards. That's nothing.
I think Vrabel's teams, because the Raiders just played the Patriots. I think Vrabel's teams have always been like historically hard to rush against, so that also
Yeah.
plays a little part into it. I think it's too
I
early to
think
tell. You know,
Yeah, I that's kind of in line with the conversation I was having about like the Niners starting with the Saints and stuff, and fantasy being weird to start the season. Like the offenses will get going as they progress and work more and more, and kind of get in a rhythm. I also think the matchups are a big deal, and it's like whenever you play the Chiefs, it's like, oh man, we got to deal with Chris Jones. Well, in this game, the Raiders' interior was dealing with both Christian Barmore and Milton Williams, two very good defensive tackles. So I'm not too worried yet. I'm not sounding the alarms. I'd like to think that maybe this week against the Chargers, they can do a better job of developing the run. I also noticed that the Chiefs weren't able to do that against the Chargers, so we'll see. Uh,
yeah,
but
it's going to be
I think that needs to
another
be
tough rushing week.
yeah. It's got to be an emphasis for sure.
Yeah, I want to get to some comments, and then maybe we can go to our final topic.
I still had more stats, but we can go
No,
comments first.
I'm just kidding. Uh,
Yeah,
no. If you want to go on your stats, we can go on the stats and then get to the comments.
for sure. Brock Bowers, 5 catches, 103 yards. Looked good when he was on the field. He did get injured on apparently that long 38-yard catch where he was running over 20 miles per hour. Not many tight ends can do that. But it seemed like it was one of those injuries where he bumped his knee on the ground, not like a hyperextension or anything like that. I'm not too worried. It sounds like it's a day-to-day thing. But people like fantasy people are freaking out about it. I don't think it's that big of a deal. But you know, play it safe. That's for sure. We can't not have him. So if he has to sit out 1 week, hey, we have Michael Mayer, ex second round pick. I know we were talking about ex second round picks on Saturday. Uh, Michael Mayer is a good tight end. So we'll see how it goes. Jacoby Myers, 8 catches. I think he had 10 targets, 97 yards, long of 24. He was a key to the second half of this game. I think he'll be a key to this offense all season. Max Crosby, 2 tackles, 1 sack, 1 tackle for loss, 1 pass defended or batted down, however you want to call it. 7 pressures, 2 QB hits. One of those being the forced interception on Drake May. Isaiah Polamau, 7 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, 1 pass defended, an interception. He was targeted 3 times. He had a damn good game. He was targeted 3 times, gave up only 1 reception, which was for -1 yard, aka his tackle for loss. A total of 2.8 QBR given up. Everybody else was not very good in coverage. I'll get back to that in a second. Kuntz and Tyree Wilson each had 3 tackles, 1 sack, 1 tackle for loss, and 2 QB hits. Malcolm Kuntz was the one with the strip sack, which the Patriots did recover. Devin White led the team with 11 tackles.
He also played very well.
He did play pretty good. Drake May attempted 46 passes in this game. The Patriots had a total of 18 rushing attempts for 60 yards. Four of those attempts were Drake May. So in total, really, they had 14 total rushing attempts, the Patriots offense, against this defense. Why? I don't know if they were trying to focus on, attacking the Raiders' corners with Drake May, their, soon to be, in theory, star quarterback, or if the Raiders were really shutting down that run game like that. I'm not sure yet. But I hope it's the run defense. Hopefully they're a little better than expected, right? Because that would help a lot with winning games. Uh, or was it just Josh McDaniels, right? Was it just Josh McDaniels doing his typical not very good offense and, just depending on the quarterback and dump offs to the running backs, right? Um, the safeties played good, but the corners were the ones that were giving up first downs. There were a lot of drives where the Patriots would get to third down because the Raiders were stopping the run. And then on third down, Drake May would complete a pass against one of those two starting boundary corners and get the first down. That's my only big complaint from this game, other than the offensive line and the run game averaging 2.0 yards per carry. Those are my two concerns. And those have been kind of my two concerns going in, the offensive line and the corners. If they have good games, the Raiders will win games, as long as they stay healthy. That's it.
All right. Real quick, I just want to take credit because I think Isaiah Polamau wasn't going to have a good game if I didn't pick him as one of my breakout players this year. But he was damn good. So Anthony, Provencio, and Joel, I want you guys to personally thank me. Because if it had not come out of my mouth, it wouldn't have been spoken into existence. Okay? Obviously.
I'd like to think that the Raiders having good safety play, because I think other than the touchdown given up, which again I felt was good coverage from Jeremy Chin, both safeties had good games. I would like to think that the Raiders having good safety play will help the corners, game by game. I'd like to think that the Raiders, corners won't get torched game in, game out, hyper targeted. Not saying they were getting torched, like they were just giving up kind of the intermediate stuff. They never gave up, I don't think, a big play, like down deep or anything. Maybe the occasional like 20-yard pass. But I don't know. I just think if the defense plays like this all year, I'd say pretty good things are coming. But again, this was a Patriots team that I can't fully get a good idea of how good they are. That's where I think this Chargers game coming up, which might be a good segue after these comments, will be a better test to see how good this team can really be.
Fonzie says silver will always be second to gold, as long as everybody understands that, okay? Just kidding. And then, what is it? Papa J said that as a Niner fan, he only sees great things coming for the Raiders under Pete Carroll. What's funny is I feel the same way, and I know Pia's dad feels very strongly about that the players are only going to get better under Pete Carroll's coaching. So, I mean, you've got a lot to look forward to, Mike, for the first time maybe in your life.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's all going to land this season. I made the point on Saturday's pod that I find it very interesting that one of our biggest weaknesses is at the corner position, which is, kind of Pete Carroll's specialty, right? I wonder if that's a good thing, because as the season progresses, he can really help develop these guys. I think they do have a guy who might develop into a solid starter in Darian Porter, who's currently not starting. Kai Blue Kelly, I mean, he was giving up first downs, but he also did have a big PBU on a third down play. And Stokes is a guy who hopefully ex-first rounder, just needs to stay healthy, maybe can be a good starter. We'll see. But, if Pete Carroll works his magic on those guys, then at that point, this is very, optimistic what if, but at that point, it's really just going to come down to the offensive line for me and how good they can play over the course of the season. Because that's where the offense is going to live and die, really.
Yeah. You mentioned that the weakness is the corners. But you just mentioned that the Patriots passed 46 times and what they only put up 10 points.
Sorry, let me see. Maybe it was 13 because they got the field goal at the end. Why do I not have that? Oh yeah, 20-13. Drake May did have like 200 and he had like 240 yards or something like that. It was really the rush defense that was really impressive. And probably forced them to hyper pass the ball. Yeah.
Anthony C, welcome back to the show, says Raiders making all the right moves to be competitive in the future. For once, their future looks bright. Unfortunately, they play in a monster of a division. Well, right now the Raiders are tied for first in the division, and you know who's tied for last? Well, not even tied. You know who's just last?
Oh yeah, the Chiefs. I for some reason I thought the Broncos lost, but they played the fucking Titans. The Broncos didn't look that good, or at least not too impressive week 1. But that's another case, in my opinion, of like, oh, the offense will get it going by like week 3 or 4. It's just weird quarterback play from Bo Nix.
I'm waiting for my camera to catch up, dude. It like got really delayed all of a sudden.
All right, right now I do see that it's delayed.
Yeah, I don't know why. Hold on, let me. I think that's good.
I think so.
Yeah, Anthony Provencio says O-line was terrible, no running lanes. Geno Smith carried the offense, and the defense got stout.
Yep.
Geno balled out, says Papa J. Anthony says, you guys keep saying Genty's name wrong. It's not Janty.
I know. I say Janty. What is it? Genty.
It's Genty.
Jenny T.
No, that's what Papa J says. He said, no, it's Jenny T. You know what? All right.
Genty.
I mean, it's not a common last name, so, kind of bear with me if I get it wrong. But right now, I will pronounce his last name correctly from, going forward. But I am going to purposefully mispronounce his first name. So, Ashton Genty.
Yeah. Oh, I'm going to purposely mispronounce his last name and say Genty. Because it's also kind of spelled like that.
Genty. It's actually Jean.
Ashton Genty.
Ashton Jeanton. Like, he's actually French.
Oh. Okay. That's funny because I think he is French. Or he was raised in France? Or was it Italy? I forget.
Yeah.
He was like raised in one of those countries.
Yeah, so I'm going to refrain from racism right now and, refrain from going stereotypical French accent. I'm going to stop doing that now. Anthony says the A is silent. You guys keep saying Janty. I mean, it's just, like Papa J says, more like Yanti.
Yeah, I'll pay more attention to how announcers pronounce his name. And if I hear a bunch of announcers saying Janty or Janty, that literally sounded the same, but I tried to focus on Gianti versus Janty. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, I'm just so used to saying Janty.
The Niners used to have a defensive lineman, or maybe it was offensive lineman. I forget, but yeah, I think his name was Ricky Jean Francois. So like, I've come into some pronunciations over the years. My fucking camera, dude. Let me restart it before the last topic. Maybe.
Damn it.
Oh, hold on. I took off the topic, not my camera. Hold on. Can you read off some of the final comments before we do our final topic?
For sure. Papa J says Brock Bowers is sick. White, I'm assuming Devin White was solid. Yeah, let's hope Brock Bowers is not sick. We don't need to be dealing any more than just the knee right now. but he is a sick player. Tomato, tomato. Uh, from Anthony P. Josh McDaniels is shitty. He lives off of Tom Brady's success.
Yeah,
He very
you
well
want to
might.
talk about
He might.
pronunciations? You said Tim Brady, okay? You're getting
Yeah,
on me for pronunciations. I know you corrected it. Let me correct myself too.
yeah. But I mean, Tom Brady was the pillar example of efficiency and preparedness. So I wouldn't be shocked at all if, as at quarterback, I wouldn't be shocked at all if Josh McDaniels proves within the next 2 years that, yeah, he was just living off the success of Tom Brady, and that should have never been a question. Because frankly, their offense looked kind of stupid. Besides Drake May, like it personally, I might have a fantasy reason for this, but I would have used Trayvon Henderson and his explosiveness much more. I would have gotten him out in space. I would have done things, you know, to strengthen my offense, but instead it was just, yeah, let's just rush the ball like 14 times and like occasionally dump it off. Like I don't know. And then again, Drake May looked good. He was converting first downs on third down and such, but only so much you can do with the limited play styles of the receivers that he has. Like Stephon Diggs did not look like his old self. He didn't even look like their true number one receiver. You know, so somebody I didn't mention who actually did have a good game was their tight end. Um, he used to be on the
Hunter
Chargers.
Henry.
Who?
Hunter Henry.
Hunter Henry. Yeah, he had a good game, but it wasn't enough.
But yeah, Tom Brady. He's aight. He's aight. All right. We're finally moving on to our final topic. It's the final countdown, Michael. Are you ready?
I'm ready for Monday night.
This is great because for a while here on this podcast, we were talking a lot about Jim Harbaugh. Now we get to talk about Jim Harbaugh again. Mike, do you have keys to the game? Do you want to start off, or do I need to start off here? Because as of late, I've been pretty high on the Chargers.
Yeah, they were extremely impressive in that Chiefs game on Friday in Brazil. They do get a little bit of a longer break in between games than the Raiders, but it's a Monday night game for both of them, so I think both will feel refreshed regardless. The fly back from Brazil probably is not too fun for the Chargers, but coming off a win, I'm sure they're perfectly fine with it. Yeah.
Hey, Mekhi Becton ended up playing, right? He was the one who had the oxygen mask on him.
Yeah, I didn't see the oxygen mask, but I saw him post that he was like, I don't know if it was a doctor's room or in the stadium's, you know, like extra room or some shit, but he had like an IV or something.
Yeah, and he was like, "Don't eat rice and beans when you go to Brazil" or something like that.
Yeah.
Dude, I just thought it was hella funny that I saw that, and then he ended up playing, and then I think it was him on the sideline with like a freaking oxygen mask, and then I'm just like, dude, he's probably going through it. Like, imagine your stomach's messed up. Like, I mean, these linemen, they have to exert so much. Like, is he gonna shit himself on national TV? International TV at that. International TV.
He wouldn't have been the first guy to do it. I'm pretty sure a Lions player did it last year in like Sunday Night Football or some shit.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. Oh.
But
can you see me?
Yeah, I can see you.
Okay, that's cool. For some reason my Discord is acting weird, but if it's still working, then fine.
Yeah, it's working fine. So we'll push through. We'll push through. If I ever don't, oh, there he goes. So if Mike is not going to be on here, I can go ahead and finish up. So don't worry. I don't know what Mike's prediction would be, but Papa J says, I see Jim Harbaugh as a candidate for Coach of the Year. I agree. I think that Jim Harbaugh, like I was expecting the Chargers to go into week 1 with like more of a rush first attack, but they just dropped back and passed. And then also signing Keenan Allen was such a great move for them because he already has chemistry with Justin Herbert. I know this is gonna suck for you guys that are Raider fans, but I'm kind of we just talked about how the Raiders just played. I want to hype up their next opponent before we give predictions. But let me text Mike to say we can finish up the show if he just hops on Discord on his phone. Hop on Discord on your. What's going on with my Discord now? Huh? Maybe Discord's down. That's probably what it is. Hold on. One moment, guys. Bear with me. I'm gonna call Mike. I think Discord probably just crashed. Bear with me. Getting Mike on the line. We're gonna get his prediction. I'm gonna put him on speaker too. Hey, Mike, you there? Hey, I'm gonna put you on speaker, and we're just gonna finish out the show. I think maybe Discord just probably crashed altogether. Like, it might be like a server wide thing. Guys in the comments, just let me know. Oh, Papa J says it's the Russians. Oh, PS said Discord crashed. So, yeah, I'm thinking that's probably what it is. So that's why we're experiencing some technical difficulties. I've got Mike on the line. I do want to say I anticipate that the Chargers are going to go pass happy in this game. Oh, yeah, it's all over Twitter. Everyone's dealing with it. Man, they just had to do it for our show. Come on.
How is the pod still going on YouTube then?
Because I only get you from Discord.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right. Ask the chat if they can hear me good.
Hey, can you guys hear Mike good? Does he need to be close, louder? Is he too loud? Does it sound like... I know it sounds like crap, but just let me know. We're on our final topic. We're going to wrap up.
Hello, everybody, from my cell phone.
Yeah, we could even FaceTime if you want, and then I can show Mike right here, but...
Nah, it's fine. This will be a weird one. We'll try to make it quick.
All right. Yeah.
Let me know what they're saying.
They didn't say anything, but we're just going to assume they can hear you fine. Because I see it coming through the microphone, so...
Yeah. So you said you expect another pass-happy game from the Chargers. That makes a lot of sense to me. I'd like them to run the shit out of the ball because I have their rookie running back, Omarion Hampton, on my fantasy team. But I think if I am, the Chargers offensive coordinator, Greg Roman and company, I'm probably looking at the Raiders corners and saying, yeah, our receivers can probably get the job done versus these guys, and definitely our star quarterback, Justin Herbert. So, yeah, I could see Ladd McConkey, Keenan Allen, and even apparently Quentin Johnson, having solid games against these corners. But, again, the Raider fan in me would like for the Raiders to shut this team out. But the fantasy football guy in me says I'd love to see, Hampton just get one goal line touchdown, but the Raiders pull out the win at the end,
Uh-huh.
I think at the end of the day, though, it'll be I'd like to think that it'll be closer than maybe some expect. Like if you're watching Monday Night Football pregame and they do the Monday Night Football analyst picking the game, like everybody's going to pick their Chargers, This is a pretty clear Chargers pick. Admittedly, as far as my pick, I am picking the Chargers to win this game, but I have hope. I have hope that the Raiders can play more like that second half of this Patriots game than the first half. If they play like the first half, they're not going to have a chance in this game. And Justin Herbert will just, get a big lead on the Raiders, and then, they're going to be playing from behind. And maybe Geno is able to, score some more touchdowns and throw the ball on the Chargers defense, but I just don't know. I don't know if the Raiders can ever beat out the Chargers and their offense. Their defense, I'm more curious about because they were playing really good against the Chiefs last week. I would like to see an emphasis on the Raiders getting open run lanes, protecting Geno Smith. So really, the offensive line needs to play better. We need to run the ball on this team. We need to own the time of possession and control this game. That's what they need to aim to do. And if they can't succeed in that, good luck against Justin Herbert.
Yeah, Herbert played very well last week. And, just kind of how I feel is I think that for once, Greg Roman's offense is evolving. I think that he spent time this offseason to try to, actually get Justin Herbert to excel. And I think Justin Herbert is one of the few quarterbacks in the NFL that he can excel. He actually plays better in a pass first setting. I think we saw that last night. Not last night, but this past week against the Chiefs. Where Justin Herbert was dropping back like almost every single play, and you were thinking like, man, aren't the Chargers going to be a run first offense? Greg Roman has historically been run first, and they just kept dropping back. And then I think one of the keys for that was that Quentin Johnston was actually finally, for once in his career, catching the football. But also they brought back Keenan Allen, and I actually think that they have a really good set of receivers now. If Quentin Johnston has improved, Ladd McConkey is a great receiver, and Keenan Allen is, I think he's not washed yet. I think he has great chemistry with Justin Herbert. I think, personally, I predict that the Raiders are going to have their hands full in the secondary because, like you said, the weakness to the Raiders is their secondary. And right now, the strength on the Chargers, it looks like it's going to be their passing game, dude.
Yeah, I think when the Chargers play teams that don't have Chris Jones up the middle, they will probably do a better job of running the ball. Kind of like what I said earlier about the Raiders and like what they would ideally do in a game.
Uh-huh.
I think the Raiders, like I said, would rather rush for 150 and pass for 200 to 250 than, pass for 350 and rush for 50 any given game, right? I think most teams would prefer the 150 rush yards. I think deep down, I think the Chargers and Greg Roman especially, but, just Jim Harbaugh and historically how they've been, they would prefer to rush for 150, control the time of possession, control the game, right? Control the tempo, if you will, and have Justin Herbert be the guy who's hyper efficient and gets the job done every time his name is called, pretty much. When it's a 3rd and 8, McConkey, Keenan Allen,
Yeah.
But on 1st and 10, on 3rd and 1, on the goal line, I think they would prefer to run the ball. But they are ecstatic to have a top 5 quarterback in Justin Herbert, where when they need to, situationally, they can depend on him to throw the rock and throw it efficiently. And I think against a team like the Chiefs, it calls for that. I'm curious what they call for in this Raider matchup.
I think it's going to be another pass happy game.
Yeah, against the Raiders corners, I think on paper they should. They should be passing the ball, and they will pass the ball successfully. I guess where my mind goes to is, do they try a little harder to develop the run early in this game? Do they develop a big lead, because of the passing game, where they're up 2 scores, and then they start developing the run game more?
Uh-huh.
Because no matter what, drafting the running back in the first round, signing Mekhi Becton, right? Unfortunately for them, they did lose the left tackle or right tackle. It's left tackle.
No, left tackle.
They have to slide all to the left now. I think their plan was to be strong on both, aspects of the offense. They want to be a good run game, obviously, because of their coaching staff. But with Herbert and the receivers, they want to be a good pass offense as well. And I think one of those needs development, and that's the run game.
Hey,
So
try to hop on Discord right now.
all right. But yeah, I just think, like I was saying about these offenses starting slow, I think a lot of them depended mostly on their veterans, to be efficient, right?
Uh-huh.
For example, just look at the Raiders' offense. The offensive line was a big part of it, but Bowers and especially Jacoby Myers and Geno were the most efficient parts of their offense, whereas the rookie was not quite so efficient. Same for the Chargers, right? It's like Herbert, Keenan Allen, those the veterans were efficient because they've done this a time or two. Their run game was not quite so efficient. Yeah, my Discord's not loading right now. I don't know.
Not even on the phone. We'll just finish out. We'll finish out the episode.
Yeah, we're.
But I do think the keys to the game for the Raiders is going to. I think it's going to be. They're going to have to. I would say establish the run, but that's going to be tough against this Chargers defense. I think Geno Smith he's just got to protect the ball, and Chip Kelly's going to have to have a really good game plan for the receivers, because I feel like you can kind of attack the Chargers secondary a little bit more than their run defense.
Based off of week 1 for sure.
Yeah. Because even Patrick Mahomes was able to pass for a lot of yards. But
and with
obviously
the injuries,
that's Patrick Mahomes.
They have. Yeah, but also I completely agree. Hollywood Brown and Juju Smith-Schuster were just getting peppered with targets after their, I think what the Chiefs want to be a star receiver in the shoulder injury, was knocked out of the game early.
Mm-hmm.
They were still able to pass on the Chargers defense.
Yeah. So really that's going to be a big key is them being able to pass the ball. I think Brock Bowers is going to, need to probably have a bigger week than he had this past week. It should be a big Jacoby Myers week.
Yeah, I think I'd probably lean Jacoby Myers because of Brock Bowers' injury.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still curious how big of an injury it is. I mean, based off what everybody's saying, it's not that big of a deal. I'm curious how much it affects him, I guess I should say, for week 1 or for week 2. I'm curious if maybe they lean more towards a Michael Mayer, Dante Thornton, Trey Tucker, probably. But Jacoby Myers is probably going to be the main benefactor week 2, and then hopefully Genty, however the fuck we're supposed to say it. Like I said for week 1, the coming out of halftime adjustments, I think if they can develop the run early and also, stay within a score of this game, if not get a lead in this game, if you can develop play action, that can be huge, where you can actually sell their defense on the run, hit them with the play action, and then boom, Jacoby Myers is wide open. Boom, Michael Mayer is wide open. That can be big, just as it was in week 1. Mm-hmm. So you have to develop the run for it to succeed.
Yeah, I'm struggling right now to think of more keys to the game for the Raiders. I don't, obviously they're not just going to go in there and lay down and die, but I don't know. I feel like this is going to be a particularly not one-sided, but I only see this going in the Chargers' favor at this current moment. Maybe it could be different later in the season, but give me the Chargers in this one.
Yeah, I think for the Raiders to win this game, sort of similar to week 1, where Geno Smith got intercepted, right? But what evened it out early on in this game was the Raiders getting the interception. I guess it was the third quarter. The Raiders getting the interception on Drake May. That really changed the tide of the game. If I can give any other keys to this game, it would be to win the turnover battle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's probably the only way the Raiders can win this game is to force turnovers, create turnovers, and play efficient on offense.
Did Justin Herbert throw an interception yesterday?
On Friday?
On Friday, sorry.
I kind of doubt it.
Because last season, obviously, he had, 3 interceptions in the playoff game? But other than that, he had 3 interceptions the entire season last year. It's, I don't know. It's a tough task. Are the Raiders going to be at home?
Well, does that really matter when it's LA and it's the Charger fans?
Mm-hmm. The reason why I asked is because Anthony in the comments says Raiders are home. He says, I see a big upset, shock the world kind of win. I don't see that, Anthony.
Let me see. Scores. Let me go NFL Week 2. Scroll down to Monday. It is in Las Vegas. So, for once, this is me being a little negative, if you will, towards Raider fans. Well, not Raider fans, but the situation at hand with Vegas and, drawing a lot of opposing crowds. But in this game, the Raiders will have home field advantage, if you will, because Charger fans don't travel well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if that can be an effect, awesome. But, either way, it's going to be on prime time. I just hope that it's a good, competitive game all the way through. And, the Raiders don't get embarrassed.
Prime time,
I'd like to see turnovers forced. Monday Night Football. It is the second.
Yeah, it's 7 p.m.
It's 7 p.m. Yep. Texans Buccaneers start at 4 p.m. earlier.
Yeah, I see
Adam
the
Schefter,
Chargers win.
Yeah, I agree. I'm just I think that's about all we have to say about that game.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping for a close game, and I'm hoping the Raiders win. My fantasy team is hoping that Marion Hampton and Ashton Genty score some touchdowns, but I would expect the Chargers to win this game. I will also say, off topic, Adam Schefter did just tweet that 49ers Pro Bowl tight end George Kittle is expected to be sidelined multiple weeks with a hamstring injury.
Yeah, I figured.
Yeah, I did as well. I think fantasy-wise, it only makes the Pearsall pick for anybody who did pick him, which I did in a couple leagues, a better pick. But for the Niners side of this, not good.
Mm-hmm. Anthony says Gino's going to have another 300 yards, but 3 passing touchdowns this time. Chargers are going to choke, says Anthony.
That's not out of the question. I mean,
and
Chargers are pretty well known for that.
He says, and all the media will be talking about are the Raiders for real.
I mean, I hope you're right, Anthony.
Yeah. Anthony, I am not as optimistic as you. I think, I don't know. The Chargers, I think they're a really good football team. So, I mean, that's not to say that the Raiders are a shitty football team. I mean, kind of the past 20 years, they, for the most part, have been. But, I don't know. I can't go out and say that they're going to beat the Chargers in week 2. So, Mike and I both have the Chargers. Anthony's got the Raiders because Anthony will never switch up.
Damn right.
So, except if things do go horribly wrong, I know Anthony will be realistic. Like, man, we fucking suck. Like last year. But as of right now, he's loyal to the soil, which I guess the Raiders are not loyal to the soil because they moved several times. As Papa J called them earlier, the relocators. But yeah, that's gonna have to do it for our episode today. There's not really much more that we can say about that game, like at this given moment.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, before we get out of here, Anthony asks, are they better on paper? Probably. But Max Crosby and Geno Smith will have the boys fired up. It's going to be a good game. I hope it's a good game. I would love to watch a good game.
You know what we didn't talk about? This will be my last point. And this should probably be the final point. I was going to say, hey, man, it's an interdivisional game, or maybe not inter, it's the wrong term, but it's a divisional game. It's Raiders versus AFC West matchup. Anything can any given time, the Raiders Chiefs, anything can happen. Same teams goes for the Chargers. Anything can
Your final point is getting absolutely demolished by the phone satellite. Like it we didn't get that, Mike.
Great. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
My final point is it's a divisional matchup. Anything can happen, right? When the Raiders play the Chiefs, anything can happen. Can you hear me?
Yes.
The main point, though, that's what I was going to say. That was my first thought, was like, it's a divisional matchup. I mean, anything can happen. The other key point, this is Pete Carroll versus Jim Harbaugh.
Ah.
Completely forgot about it.
Yeah.
This is going to be fun.
It's going to be fun, and I think the Chargers are going to run up the score. You just reminded me of that.
Yeah, well, hopefully they don't.
Yeah.
But if they do, they will be taking advantage of, the first year of Pete Carroll's tenure, taking over for, the Antonio Pierce and previously Josh McDaniels era. So it's not completely Pete Carroll's team. If he gets demolished, I'm not blaming him by any means. At the end of the day, you got to put 53 players on the roster. They did get Geno Smith. They intended for that. So, we'll see what they can do.
Yep. And with that, I think that's the end of the episode. Hold on. The AirPods died. I got to put you back on speaker. But, do you have any last thoughts before we get out of here?
If the Raiders go 2-0, we're going to the Super Bowl. I mean, come on.
Yeah. I think that pretty much sums it up. If the Raiders go 2-0. But yeah, everyone, I just want to thank everybody for tuning into the show and bearing with us with some technical difficulties with my camera, and then also Discord just flat out dying on us, dying on everybody. I guess it's like a mass problem, but more specifically, I want to thank Papa J, Anthony Provencio, Anthony C. I want to thank Pia. I want to thank Paulina. Want to thank Joel. I want to thank Fonzie and 49er Media. If there was anybody else who commented that maybe I'm missing right now, I want to apologize and just thank you anyway. And if you tuned into the show live, or if you're watching this after the fact, thank you for tuning in. Please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. With that being said, we read comments live. We read comments after the fact and reply to them. So, hopefully you guys smash that like button, and we'll catch you guys next week in the next episode. Thank you, guys.